Hello Bloomington, I'm Mayor Tim Busse, and this is the Council Minute for the week of November 20th. On Monday night, the Council held a special meeting with one item on the agenda, the 2024 tax levy and budget. It was our last budget discussion before the annual Truth in Taxation public hearing on December 4th. Over the past 4 years, I've made it clear, Bloomington will invest our resources in efforts that reflect the values and the priorities of this community, and that we will excel at the nuts and bolts work of municipal government. I believe Bloomington has done that. I also believe this budget reflects those goals. On Monday night, staff brought forward and Council endorsed a proposed 2024 levy increase of 8.97%. The proposed increase set in September was 9.49%. Because I know you're wondering, an 8.97% levy increase doesn't equate to an 8.9% tax increase. The change for the City of Bloomington tax bill for a median value home would be a 5.12% increase. That's an increase of $5.69 per month. This 2024 budget continues the community investments in public safety. It's structured to maintain the city services that residents value and expect. It's focused on the strategic allocation of resources, and the budget aligns with the city's strategic plan. And finally, throughout the budget process, increased public engagement has been a top priority. As a review, there are 3 significant issues that are driving city expenses next year. The first is labor market pressure. Unemployment in Minnesota is at a record low rate, and like any organization, the City of Bloomington needs to offer competitive salaries and benefits to attract and retain skilled workers. City governments are in the service industry. We don't make widgets here at City Hall. The City of Bloomington provides services like police and fire protection, snow plowing, park maintenance, water delivery, and many, many others. About 75% of our general fund budget goes to paying the people who provide the services that you've come to expect from the City of Bloomington. The second expense driver is Bloomington's continued commitment to public safety. This budget will add 6 new firefighters in 2024 to help with the ongoing transition to a hybrid part-time and full-time fire department, as well as adding a new dispatcher for our dispatch center. And we can't forget that in this year's budget, we added 4 additional police officers, the first new officer positions added in more than a decade, along with 21 new full-time firefighters, 18 of which are funded from a federal grant for 3 years. Public safety has always been and will continue to be a top priority in Bloomington. Adding to our public safety capacity goes back to the reality of the expense of the people who provide those services. And the final cost driver is one that's affected everyone over the past few years: economic volatility or inflation and how it affects the costs of materials and services. Now granted, inflation currently seems to be under control in the Twin Cities, but the cost of goods and materials went up and they haven't come back down. Every city is different, but broader context is sometimes helpful. At the end of last week, the Minnesota Department of Revenue released the preliminary 2024 tax levy for the entire state. Combined, cities in Minnesota proposed increases of 8.4%. Counties proposed a 6% increase, and schools a 9% increase. I'd venture a guess that many of those taxing jurisdictions are facing many of the same cost pressures as Bloomington. If it feels like I've been talking about the budget for a while now, you're right, I have. I've specifically talked budget issues during the Council Minute at least a half dozen times since August. City departments kicked off their budget discussions in May, and there were a bunch of internal meetings with departments and the city manager in July and August. The City Council had our first special council budget meeting on August 21st, and the Council set the preliminary 2024 budget and the tax levy on September 18th. On both October 16th and November 13th, we discussed the 2024 utility rates and corresponding budgets. Also, throughout October and November, the individual departments presented their 2024 budget requests in more detail, and if you watched the Council Minute, I talked about those presentations extensively. Monday night was the second special council budget meeting of the year. Next Monday is the public hearing for the 2024 utility rates, and December 4th is the date of the Truth in Taxation public hearing. Also, while all of this was going on, there were budget public engagement events held from May through October. I've said before, the careful and sensible stewardship of public money is the most important responsibility we have as elected officials. I take that responsibility very seriously, as does everyone on the City Council and everyone on the Bloomington City staff. This budget reflects that. I strongly encourage you to tune in or to attend on December 4th, where staff will provide a detailed presentation on the 2024 levy and budget. We have asked staff to work to reduce that number even more. I look forward to seeing you then. In the fall of 2022, we had a series of conversations here at Civic Plaza about workforce development. Specifically, how to educate and train talented and motivated Bloomington residents in a way that would meet the current and future needs of Bloomington businesses. We also talked about how an important part of achieving our mission of cultivating an enduring and remarkable community where people want to be is to significantly move the needle on the topic of equitable economic growth. Those conversations paved the way for the Workforce Bloomington Steering Committee. The committee is a public-private partnership between the city, community and regional business leaders, and academic leadership. The key priorities are to position Bloomington as a hub of innovation and talent for the future, and to support the training and upskilling of tomorrow's workforce through internships, apprenticeships, and proven training programs. Those are big goals, and the committee spent the past 12 months working to get our arms around those priorities and to concentrate on strategic focal points that would help guide our work. Those strategies include building collaborative communication, developing and effectively utilizing institutional and strategic partnerships, cultivating opportunities for industry investment, and tapping into the obvious market of youth and young adults. We got that far and knew we had to put some meat on the bones. So the next step is to organize and empower 4 subcommittees to begin doing the actual work to make all of this happen. The Education and Training Committee will work to develop comprehensive education and training programs, fostering a well-skilled workforce ready for the challenges of tomorrow. These folks will collaborate with the school district, colleges, and VOTEX to ensure alignment with industry needs. The Business and Large Employer Committee will focus on attracting businesses to Bloomington, increasing the city's competitiveness, and making it an ideal place for relocation. The Inclusion Committee will champion diversity, equity, and inclusion within the workforce, ensuring equal opportunities for all. The subcommittee will also share best practices to attract and retain diverse talent. And finally, the Bloomington Branding Committee will tell Bloomington's story and position Bloomington as an attractive destination within the region and across the country. I'm hoping they can identify strategies to shift the Twin Cities narrative to include Bloomington as an equal and necessary contributor to the vitality of this region. We've tentatively identified key deliverables to include a strong marketing campaign, a streamlined internship and apprenticeship process, an aligned pursuit of capital, and revised city policies that make Bloomington more attractive for business. Now, many of these things are already happening or are in the works at Civic Plaza. I envision our city departments and these subcommittees working in tandem, highlighting strengths and shoring up challenges as they work toward common goals. This is not a small project, and many hands make light work. Be on the lookout for the call for additional expertise in the areas I mentioned. Finally today, I want to wish everyone a wonderful Thanksgiving holiday. We have a lot to be thankful for here in Bloomington. I hope you're able to embrace and share this season of gratitude. And speaking of gratitude, I'm thankful that you've joined me today. That will do it for this week. Until next time, stay safe, Bloomington.